Hey, I'm Paul Rabelais, and I want to talk about week 5, or step 5. I'll call it week 5. Week 5 of the 5-week marketing program to build a really successful, really thriving estate planning practice. The biggest problem is even if you've done everything in weeks 1 through 4, week 1 is develop your free offers, and over time you'll have many free offers that will attract people to your valuable information. Week 2, you'll have a great content website filled with content that's added to all the time, and it's going to be really interesting to the readers. Week 3, you develop your drip email campaign, and over time it'll be many different drip email campaigns that are specific to the pain or the issue that the person wants to have resolved. And then week 4, step 4, you'll be the author of a book. You'll be the person that wrote the book. So that credibility will just go sky high. But the problem is that still may not be enough to get you that unlimited number of ideal clients that you want to have. So, or even bigger problem is you try to do what is week 5, step 5, the public presentation. You pour money into it and you fail, and you've lost out on the limited resources that you had to allocate to something like this. So what I want to do now is go through the week 5, step 5, again I'll call it week 5, public presentation aspect of an estate planning practice to really finish off this getting lots of ideal clients. Because if you ignore week 5, then the consequences are likely going to be you're not going to get enough of the results that weeks 1 through 4 produce for you. You need to cap it off with week 5 by getting people in a room all at once, and you do this month after month, really until you retire. And where you're having a constant new stream of people who have raised their hand and said, I'm interested, tell me more, and they're ready to take some action. And that public event just kind of seals the deal, where they get a lot of confidence that they want to use you to be their estate planning attorney. Again, if you don't do it the right way, you'll say, hey, I'll give this estate planning seminar thing a try. You'll pour a bunch of money into it. You won't do it right. You'll fail. You'll lost all the money. So what are your options? Well, your options are do what I just said. Go try some things. Post something on Facebook. If people do show up, tell them what the law is, and then make yourself available if they want to come in, and your likelihood of failure is high. But the real solution is to have a complete 5-part structure to making sure that your week 5 public seminar presentations really knock their socks off and really propel your business. Let's go through what that 5-part structure that PAR has developed to use in any market, in any city, to attract lots of estate planning business. What's that look like? Part 1 is you've got to plan these events the right way. And when I say plan, you got to plan them in advance. How many are you going to give? Where are they going to be? Are you going to go reserve a room at the library? Are you going to go to the local hotel, reserve a meeting room? Or are you going to go to a restaurant? When are you going to have them? What's the best time of day? Should you do them in the morning, in the mid-morning, the late afternoon, at lunch, in the evening? What are the best times to do them? That's the first part of the 5-part structure to making sure these things are successful. Part 2 is you've got to master a 1-hour presentation. And I don't use the term master lightly, because if you're like me, you'll be giving hundreds, or if you're really like me, you will be giving thousands of these presentations, and really it will be the same presentation over and over and over and over and over. Sure, you may do some other niche topics and some other presentations relating to some specific areas, but you're going to give this one estate planning presentation over and over and over, and you'll have success if you've mastered it before you do it the first time. The risk of not mastering it is people sit in the audience and say, this guy, I'm not sure if he knows what he's talking about. He's reading the PowerPoint, he's glancing at his note cards, he's looking at the handout. I'm not sure if I want to work with this guy. And then you get into it and you don't get any results, and now you're back to having to do something else for a living. So you got to master it up front. You've got to master the content of the presentation. In that content, there's really three parts. There's the introduction. How do you introduce yourself in a way that people say, you know what, I really like this guy. I can relate to this guy. I'd like to work with him. How do you master the main content? You know, are you getting up there telling people what the laws are? Are you getting up there telling people particular stories or examples or case studies where as they listen to you, they're saying, wow, I can relate to that story. I need this. And so all that has to be perfect. And then the conclusion, you know, how do you finish up? You know, it's one thing to say, hey, I'm so-and-so, and let me tell you these stories about estate planning that may relate to you. But if you don't have the right conclusion that leads them down the right path, you've lost them. So master the presentation, part 2 of this 5-part structure to having effective public presentations. Master means no crutches, no PowerPoint, no handwritten cards, no handouts. Get up there, make eye contact, establish relationships, get people to really know, like, and trust you. Really important part 2. Part 3 of this important 5-part structure is marketing these public seminars. By marketing, I mean two things. What's the media that you're going to use to attract people to attend? And then what's the content of the marketing message? So let's go with the media. You know, as you market these events, you're excited. You're going to be standing up. You're hoping people will come, but you've got to do some things to make people come. How should you market them? Should you use your website alone to market these events? Should you put something in the newspaper? Should you send some people some mail? And if you do, what should you send them, and who should you send it to, and when should you send it? Should you use the Facebook advertising where you can target people of a certain age in a certain geographic location and just target those people? Should you use the radio? Should you use TV ads? Should you post flyers at the library like somebody told me they did one time? So you have to make sure you use the right media. And then you also have to make sure that the content of the marketing message is perfect. So it's not enough to get on your rooftop and say, I'm so-and-so, I'm going to be giving an estate planning seminar, entire community, let's go. You'll hear crickets. So the content of the marketing message has to be spot on. That message has to immediately grab their attention. I read recently where years ago people would see about 500 marketing messages per day. But today, the average person is seeing about 5,000 marketing messages per day. So you don't have much time. You have tenths of a second to capture their attention. So your marketing message has to grab their attention, quickly state the problem, not the problem in your mind that they have, but the problem that's going on in their mind about making sure their estate is handled properly. You need to even agitate that problem, and then you need to show that really you are the solution, the only solution to solving that problem. And then your marketing content has to give them a call to action, something that says, right now, you've got to take this specific action, because if you don't, there's a consequence to it. So that's the marketing messages. And then part 4 of this 5-part solution is the actual, day or evening of the event, the delivery of it. What happens when an individual or a couple, walks up to the meeting room, 20 minutes before it starts. All those things that happen prior to your delivering the content, and even after you deliver the content. So after you've said your final words, They give you their little ovation. What happens next? That's a really critical time. You want to make sure you get that perfect. And then the fifth and final part of the effective seminar presentation, week 5 module, is the follow-up. So some people who come to your presentations, I call them, maybe even call them that low-hanging fruit. They're ready to act. They responded to your marketing message. They know they need something. They like you enough to say, I'm ready, let's get started. But there's going to be hundreds or thousands of people who, that presentation that they watched you deliver was their first ever exposure to you or to estate planning. And most people don't act, or most people don't buy until they've had maybe 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 exposures to whatever it is they were looking to buy. So following up is really important. That's why the week 3, the drip marketing campaigns are so important, so that follow-up captures all those people who weren't ready to kind of pull the trigger right there at the end of the presentation. So that's the 5 parts to really putting on the week 5 kind of public presentation correctly. Number 1, you got to plan them right. Number 2, you got to master the presentation. Number 3, you got to market it the right way with the right media and the right content. Number 4, the entire delivery process from when they show up to when they leave has to be scripted and perfect. And then your follow-up process after these seminars has to be perfect for you to get really what you want to get out of these events. What are the results if you do all of that right? Well, hard to put dollar figures on the results, but we've seen many people implement the kind of week 1 through 5 process and then do it all over and over and over again to enable them to generate more than $100,000 of monthly revenue from their estate planning legal services practice. And you're able to say no to the business that you don't want and yes to those ideal estate planning clients that you do want. So, which improves your lifestyle, enables you to manage your time better, perhaps even have more time off, because you're not dealing with those nuisance situations that you were forced to say yes to in the past. So, where do you go from here? Well, we've talked about weeks 1 through 5, putting a 5-week marketing plan in place, plus adding the practice boosters, and then doing it over and over and over again for the rest of your career to have an unlimited number of estate planning clients that you can serve. So how do you get started? What do you do? Well, we need to chat. So, or perhaps you need more information. So here's what you do. I'm going to give you a couple of phone numbers. One, you can call Carol James, who is PAR Estate Planning's Client Attraction and Client Retention Marketing Systems. Carol James is our Director of Attorney Success. Her number, 281-923-1677. Or you can call the PAR office, toll-free number, 866-491-3884. Just tell the person that you talk to you're there to find out more information about PAR, about how you can build your estate planning practice. Or you can start a conversation by going to the PAR website, parestateplanning.com, go to the Contact Us page, and just fill out the little submission form where you can tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you'd like to inquire about, or maybe your biggest challenge, and we'll get back in touch with you to start that conversation. Nice and easy, real slow. So that's it for the 5-week marketing plan with the practice boosters. It's exciting, but you got to take that first step. So we are excited about the opportunity perhaps to be speaking with you, and look forward to really helping you grow and propel your practice. I'm Paul Rabelais. Have a great day.